Good day, this 45th day, meaningful moments, 365 days. So, Toora, loora, is what I woke up with this morning. And it was so exciting because I had come out of a dream, and in the dream, which I understand as being all aspects of myself, there were a couple of key components that were about me entering a space that looked like a humble abode, but a friend had brought over all these little gifts that were tucked in the bathroom, like behind the shower curtain, in the sink, under the cabinet, things like that. And they were just little gifts that were just delightful to find and to like open and push the shower curtain aside and be like, oh wow, how wonderful. And then walking out through this park-like area, looked kind of like a campground of some kind, and going into a space that was very similar to going out to DeSable Harbor here in Chicago underneath Lower Wacker Drive. And there was kind of like a overpass component and a little parkish area, but being able to see all kinds of people enjoying the lakefront, sitting and talking and smiling, and being able to walk right up to the water's edge. So a little bit different than actually where I'm at right now, but it had that same feel to it. And suddenly I went into a moment where I was wanting to find those pieces of sunlight that were coming through the shadows. And I had this experience where all of a sudden I stepped into a place where the shadow kind of felt like sun or the warmth was coming through. And as I did that, I had this experience of like, oh, there it is, there's the sunlight. And I was able to feel this moment where I could perceive it without actually seeing it with my eyes. So it was this moment then that I began to weave my way through the different groups of people. And this was definitely not a COVID time or anything like that, but it was weaving through and then deciding to close my eyes and telling myself that I could feel my way into that light. And as I came into that fullness of the light, I was like, there it is. And I opened my eyes and the sun was streaming forth. But all of this for me upon waking felt like this immense abundance that I was enveloped in. It was such a good feeling because it was not so much in the things around me as much as the feeling that all of it was eliciting from me. And it was really beautiful because this idea of being able to perceive without being able to see anything, just being able to walk through it and just feel it out there, made me feel like Toora, loora, and that song was in my head. And my husband woke up right around then, and I started to share the dream with him. And I'm kind of wake up and go kind of person in the morning. It takes him a little bit longer to wake up, but I started talking to him about it and telling him about my energy, and I wasn't sure where he was at with it because he could feel my elation. And suddenly he starts to banter with me, and we have this really beautiful exchange that we do when we have like our sharp wit about us and we're joking around with one another, and we have a lot of fun with it. And we start to go back and forth with these little quips of like, carrying on a creative imagination about how the Toora loora is, or what we're doing for the day, or what he has to do to keep up with me in terms of like having coffee just to kind of catch up to speed kind of thing. And it was just such a beautiful way to start the day. And perhaps you have had those moments where you wake up and suddenly you just feel like a good night's rest, or places in your life that feel more at ease. But even if you're not in those spaces, we can do that closing our eyes and perceiving into it. And that's one of the ways that we can begin to shift that mindset, that consciousness shift that we allow ourselves to have. So it's doable. It's something that might take a little bit of practice, but we can actually begin not to just change a thought or put a positive thing in place, but actually feel into it and perceive into that energetic frequency, that level of energy when it's in us and around us. Because you see, it's already in the cell. The cellular memory has that that quality of that state of being, that feeling that's there. So all we have to do is just perceive into that and stick with that. And we begin to watch the shift that happens in us. And we can get pretty great at doing that. But just sharing that Toora, loora, meaningful moment with me today. And wishing that for you on this very happy Valentine's Day. Namaste, friends.